Texas moves ahead with regulating hemp industry as federal ban looms. TABC intends to proceed with the adoption of permanent regulations on the hemp industry in Texas, despite the potential ban. This is brought to you from the Texas Tribune, journalist Paul Cobbler. The Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission moved forward on Tuesday with its efforts to regulate the sale of consumable hemp products as questions swirled around the future of the industry due to federal restrictions on products approved by Congress last week. A provision of the funding bill for the U.S. Department of Agriculture that ended the longest government shutdown on record also undid a provision of the 2018 Farm Bill that first allowed Texas's $8 billion hemp industry to thrive. The funding bill bans the sale of hemp-derived products with more than 0.4 milligrams of tetrahydrocannabinol. I got a little dry mouth from hitting my little pipe earlier. Or THC, and the psychoactive element also found in marijuana. That provision, which criminalizes almost all consumable hemp products sold across the country, will put Texas's law in direct conflict with the federal law when it takes effect next November, if it takes effect. In spite of impending federal restrictions, TABC intends to proceed with the adoption of permanent regulations on the hemp industry in Texas that will replace emergency rules adopted by the commission in September that barred the sale of THC products to anyone younger than 21. Advocates and trade representatives who testified at TABC meeting on Tuesday said they do not expect the federal restrictions to be the final word on the debate. What we understand is that this is still a conversation that is happening at the federal level. Sean Salvaje, a veteran, oh my God, Inception, who uses consumable hemp products and an advocate for cannabis reform. I'm a veteran who uses the products. What do you know? I showed up, told the commission, you have a unique opportunity to regulate an industry that's built by Texans for Texans. The commissioners are following the executive order Governor Greg Abbott issued in September that directed both TABC and the Department of State Health Services to impose stricter regulations on hemp businesses they license, like an age restriction on sales to minors and mandatory ID verification at the point of sale. That executive order came after Abbott in June vetoed a legislative ban. We know everything that happened. TABC's new rules. TABC's rules are largely aligned with the emergency rules it approved in September, which means you only have to card if you are a TABC license holder. You just need to card people who are buying products in your stores. But they did pull back on some strict measures. One of those measures was the one strike provision that would allow TABC to revoke the license of any business found to have sold products to a minor or failed ID check. The permanent rules allow for the agency to temporarily suspend licenses for less egregious violations. Two trade group representatives of convenience stores in the state of Texas, they testified that they support a less punitive approach to potential violations, arguing the automatic cancellation under the emergency risk rules, putting stores out of business over a simple mistake. And I'll tell you, these convenience store owners are not just any old convenience store owners. These are legacy convenience stores we've had in the Panhandle for a while. Toot and Totem was there, and it was really good to see them there. They want to be able, if other people are licensed to sell it and they're licensed to sell other products, which they have to card an ID for, alcohol, over-the-counter medicines, etc., they want to be able to also participate in this market. And that's really important in places like the Panhandle of Texas, where there isn't a lot of product available for people who are, especially older Texans, who are looking for a little bit of pain relief. So beverages are actually playing a huge part in that demographic. Another fight. So Toot and Totem showed up. It was a really nice meeting. We had a good laugh, met the commission. Commissioner Hassan Mack said the agency intends to act regardless of actions at the federal level. We're going to do what the governor tells us to do. That's all we can do right now until we get further guidance from the governor's office.